This short retells Mad Max, Fury Road, in a Viking world, where survivors battle in a frozen post-apocalyptic landscape for life's scarce resources.
Chapter 1: The Icebound Exodus. In the age after the Great Thaw, when the seas had swallowed the lands and the ice reclaimed them, the world was reborn in frost and fury. The remnants of humanity clung to life in a frigid wasteland, where the old gods whispered in the howling winds, and the new gods were those who controlled the scarce resources necessary for survival. Among the scattered tribes of this new Viking world, the most coveted treasure was not gold or silver, but the very essence of life itself, fresh water. The once mighty oceans had turned brackish, poisoned by the sins of the ancients, leaving only a few hallowed springs and glacial streams untainted by the long shadow of the past. In this desolate realm, a formidable chieftain rose to power, known only as Immortan Joe. He ruled from his fortress, Valhalla Citadel, a towering edifice of stone and steel, built upon the highest peak, overlooking a frozen wasteland. Beneath the citadel lay the sacred Well of Souls, one of the last sources of pure water. Immortan Joe hoarded this liquid life, doling it out to his followers in meager rations, ensuring their undying loyalty and servitude. The people of this harsh land traversed the icy plains in great longships on wheels, fortified with iron and bound with the strength of ancient trees. These vessels, once proud symbols of exploration and conquest, were now twisted into instruments of war and survival, their sails replaced by engines that roared like the fiercest of dragons. Among the chieftain's most trusted warriors was a solitary figure known as Max, a man of few words whose haunted eyes told tales of loss and redemption. Max had once been a wanderer, a guardian of the old roads before the ice claimed them. Now, he served Immortan Joe, his skills behind the wheel of his armored longship, the black-on-black, unmatched by any other. But whispers of rebellion began to stir in the frozen air. Furiosa, a fierce shield-maiden and the finest captain in Immortan Joe's fleet, had grown weary of the chieftain's tyranny. She dreamed of a green land beyond the ice, a place of hope called Valhalla Green, where water flowed freely and the soil bore fruit. It was a myth, a legend passed down through generations, but Furiosa believed it to be real. Under the guise of a routine raid for resources, Furiosa steered her mighty warship, the war rig, off course, taking with her the chieftain's most precious treasures, his 5 wives, young women kept for their purity and lineage. They were the keys to a future that Furiosa was determined to secure, far from the grasp of Immortan Joe. As the war rig thundered across the icy plains, Immortan Joe rallied his forces, calling upon the fiercest warriors from allied tribes, the bullet farmers, who harvested ammunition from the frozen soil, and the gas towners, who distilled fuel from the ancient reserves deep beneath the ice. Max, caught in the midst of this chaos, found himself torn from his solitary path and thrust into the heart of Furiosa's rebellion. Bound by circumstance and a shared desire for redemption, Max and Furiosa formed an uneasy alliance. Together, they faced the wrath of Immortan Joe and his armada, racing towards an uncertain future, their fate entwined with the hope of all who yearned for freedom in this icebound exodus. And so, the stage was set for a saga of survival and defiance, where the old world's end was but the beginning of a new legend, a tale of fire and ice, of blood and water, of madness and courage. This was the world of Viking Max and his Fury Road. In the heart of the frozen abyss, where the sky weeps white tears and the earth shrouds itself in a cloak of ice, there lies a place whispered in legend, Skald's Haven. It is here that our saga reaches its crescendo, where the fates of the brave and the damned intertwine in a dance as old as time itself. The war rig, a beast of burden turned harbinger of hope, thunders across the tundra, its path carved by the indomitable will of Furiosa. Her eyes, fierce as the winter gale, are fixed upon the horizon, where the promise of freedom glimmers like the first morning star. Behind them, the horde of Immortan Joe roars with the fury of the storm, a tempest of steel and wrath. Their longships, monstrous creations of war, bear down upon our heroes with relentless hunger. But Max, the silent sentinel, stands ready beside Furiosa, his heart a drumbeat of war, his hands steady as the mountain. As the two forces collide, the world itself seems to shudder. The clash of metal, the roar of engines, the cries of the valiant and the vanquished fill the air, a symphony of survival. Amidst the chaos, Max and Furiosa fight, not just for their own lives, but for the very soul of this frozen wasteland. In the thick of battle, a miracle unfolds. The skies part, and from the heavens descends a vision of verdant splendor. Valhalla green, no longer a myth but a reality, revealed by the courage of those who dared to dream. With the revelation of this promised land, the tide turns. The will of Immortan Joe's minions falters, their dreams of conquest drowned by the burgeoning hope of a new beginning. And as the final blow is struck, the tyrant falls, his reign ended not by sword or spear, but by the unyielding spirit of humanity. In the aftermath, as the survivors gaze upon the green expanse that awaits them, they know that their journey has been more than a mere fight for survival. It has been a pilgrimage, a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. And as they set forth into Valhalla green, they carry with them the tales of their trials, the saga of Viking Max and the Fury Road, a story to be told through the ages, a beacon of hope in a world reborn.